You're listening to another episode of Inside the Techosystem, a podcast bringing you fun and insightful topics about tech and its ecosystem in Nigeria. As usual, I'm Chuka, and I'm joined by Emmanuel. Hey, Emmanuel.
Hey guys, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah, we're okay. We're good. How are you? How's your life been since the last time we recorded?
I'm good. Life is getting much better.
Oh, really?
I traveled home and I've been with my family and it's been really
nice.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
family time is
played
always
ball with
important.
my brother, my sister, and went to a couple of places. Continue my
That's
guitar
nice.
lessons, and
You're the last born, right?
that's pretty much it. I'm the last child, yes.
Same thing. Yeah, guys, like you cannot wait to see Emmanuel play the guitar. Like he's making insane progress and it's actually really, really impressive. Yeah. And he's
It's funny
documenting
how
his learning as well.
Okay, yeah.
Alright, so today's episode is a little bit different from our normal previous episodes, but we felt like it's a topic we needed to have a conversation about, and that is stereotypes. We probably already know what stereotypes are, but for people who need a better explanation, stereotypes are usually like a conception or a strong opinion a group of people have about a certain person or a certain group of people, probably based on their looks or what they do or where they come from, their origin story or whatnot. So there are a lot of stereotypes. If we were talking about some stereotypes in Nigeria, we'd say something like Igbo men like money. Yeah, that's actually a perfect example of a stereotype in Nigeria. And I am not going to dive into it because obviously everybody likes money, but I think Nigerians have single-handedly excluded Igbo men and said, yes, Igbo men love money the most. And that's why in a lot of our Nollywood movies, we see Igbo men doing ritual and all sort of stuff. But yeah, that's an example of a stereotype. Emmanuel, please give me one example of stereotype you know, like a popular one that we have in Nigeria.
That Yoruba people like pepper.
Yo, that's actually a very intense stereotype. And it's actually very funny to me because I've met a lot of Yoruba people that don't like pepper.
I
Even me
don't
as
like
an
pepper.
Igbo person, I like I like pepper more than a lot of Yoruba people that I know. So it's usually crazy. But yeah, those are stereotypes. So what Emmanuel and I are going to be doing today is we're going to be mentioning a few stereotypes that exist in the Techosystem, and I guess from our conversation, you guys will be able to decide if we agree with some of these stereotypes or not. And in most cases, stereotypes are totally wrong. Like don't stereotype anybody because you have to experience that person firsthand or the group of people firsthand before. Don't just listen to what every other person is saying and say, oh, this is how they are and that is what they do. No, I think you should give people a chance to actually show themselves and, prove to you who they are and what they actually do and what their life is about. Don't just put people in a box. So
Yeah.
that's why we're having this conversation today, and we're going to be discussing a little bit of some very common and popular stereotypes that we have in tech. All right, so I'm going to go first. Stereotype 1, and this one is actually very popular, and it still pisses me off to this day because this is 2020, and this stereotype is still something that a lot of people still carry on their head like wildfire. So let's just discuss this. Women in tech. The fact that women cannot be in tech, or if women are in tech, they can't have great roles or have great responsibilities assigned to them, and it's just crazy. Another crazy one is women don't do serious work in tech, or maybe, in fact, let me not even mention what I've heard, but it's usually very crazy. Like, if a woman does something in tech, you get people say, oh, wow, she's a woman. Okay, cool. I'm just like, young man, calm down. This lady probably has a lot more experience and she's probably more skilled than you are. But yeah, something I think we need to talk about. So, Emmanuel,
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think you said most of it because I think generally or from experience, I
Mm-hmm.
notice that people usually have lower expectations for women in tech,
Yeah,
which is really
yeah,
bad
yeah.
because it's just like assuming that, oh, this guy is not going to do something worthwhile
Mm-hmm.
right from the start when you've not even seen the person do anything. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's really bad. It's bad for the ecosystem really because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of ladies, a lot of women who have skills that who have potentials and who even have skills are looked down upon, and
Mm-hmm.
like the ecosystem is just like losing out on those talents you get. So
Yeah.
I think it's really bad because I mean this is 2020.
Mm-hmm.
In the first place, there are a lot of movements that are including that are trying to bring in more women in tech. And for you
Exactly.
in 2020 to still have this mentality,
Yeah.
it's trash actually. Trash.
Yeah.
Total trash.
Yeah.
I think it still boils down to misogyny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of movement, I know of a few. She codes Africa Women in Tech, that's Google Women Tech Makers, WTM. And these
Yeah.
movements are actually doing everything they can because I feel like the more women we have in tech, I think this mentality would kind of be reduced a little
Change.
bit because
Yeah.
I've been to meetups where it was just like one or two women that attended and it's crazy. Like everywhere, just guys,
Yeah.
men.
Tech bros.
So yeah, I think it's something that we should actually pay attention to. We should apply some more emotional intelligence when trying to talk about women in tech. Women can actually do really crazy and insane stuff, and any woman in tech, most of the time, they actually work their ass off and they actually deserve to be there. And that's why I kind of get pissed where you see someone put up a job posting or maybe a conference or something and say, "Oh, it's just for women," and then you see men crying under the comment section, crying like, "Ah, no, why just women? Guys should also be able to participate." Calm down. We always have like countless, endless events for us. So like, let's just let them have this one. Yeah, you get so just to like get them encouraged to get into tech and stay in tech. So yeah, let's try
Yeah.
and not underestimate skills, right?
So stereotype two, programmers can hack. So this stereotype is largely because of movies. The media has painted programmers as people who just type a bunch of commands on their terminal and then things just happen.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, people always think, okay, because a programmer is looking like a hacker from a movie, then he's definitely hacking. Let's say you're typing, and funny enough, most of the time they see some guys like write code. Let's say you're writing HTML. For God's sake, you're writing HTML, and
Yeah,
someone thinks you're hacking.
yeah,
Anyway, you can hack with HTML, but not like you spend your whole day sitting down HTML trying to hack. But yeah, that's a stereotype. People always
yeah,
think programmers can hack.
yeah.
But you know what's funny? If you think programmers can hack, and in 2020 there are so many programmers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't you be afraid of what future we're going into if every programmer can hack?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's just a
we
stereotype,
we would
and
have solved our problem a long time ago, yeah?
as in, but I'm thinking, but this stereotype isn't so bad, and
Yeah.
it's not so bad like that, but
It's actually
it
not
still
so
has its
serious
own
because
disadvantages.
some
Yeah,
programmers can hack.
few programmers can hack. I would say few because when I say hack, I mean actual hacking, not like trying to fix some small
Yeah,
stuff. I mean like real hacking where you actually sit down, look at the system, and try some penetration testing and all that
yeah.
actual hacking kind of stuff. So yeah, and it's not as if,
Okay.
and I think it's not as if programmers cannot hack if they don't learn to. Just
Mm-hmm.
that programming is different from hacking. So that's
Mm-hmm.
just it.
Emmanuel is actually very right. And I think we mentioned this in one of our previous episodes where one of the misconceptions that a lot of us got when we first started coding was, oh, can you hack? Can you hack? Can you hack? And the question just kept on coming and coming and coming. So
I laugh
yeah,
in HTML.
that's a stereotype. Let's know what we're doing. All right,
Yeah,
stereotype 3. And I'm sure my designers listening to this would be excited that I decided to bring this into the limelight. Design
exactly.
is easy. That's a stereotype. I think in the ecosystem currently, we've actually seen a huge rise in design, like in the
Design.
design space.
Yeah,
Like a lot of people have actually started going into design, and companies these days are trying to hire designers and stuff. And I think it's actually very important, actually very crucial, because
yeah,
design is like is the presentation of whatever product you're doing. Yeah. So like if you
yep,
have a great design, that's like what most customers see first. That's what they say initially. So design should
yeah.
actually be something that speaks about your product in a lot of ways. So when people say design is easy, it's not just mix color and write text. I asked a design friend how she reacts to some of these words, like design is easy, and they're, they're stuff I can't really see on the podcast, so I'm just not going to repeat it. But she didn't take it lightly. It's something a lot of designers do not like and do not appreciate. So if you're one of those people that go around saying what is in design, is it not just to please, I think you should try doing design first and then
Yeah,
seeing
that
how
should
broad
do it.
design is. Yeah.
And I think design is very underestimated, like a
Mm-hmm.
lot in the Nigerian ecosystem, because a lot of people just want to hire front end developers or mobile app
Mm-hmm.
developers and just want them
Yeah.
to be the one to come up with all the UI and everything. The
As
fact is that
in
if design is lacking, it's going to be evident in the final product.
exactly.
And people may think that design is just, putting boxes and colors and some text here and
Exactly.
there. Design is more than that. I was speaking to a designer friend the other day. Actually, wanted to hire the work of a UI UX designer at my
Okay.
company. And
Okay.
when the person started talking about what it involved, I was like, oh, more. So to work plenty like this. So that's like there's a lot of work that goes into real design, not
Mm-hmm.
mediocre design. Design requires research, requires findings, requires understanding the market you're building for. Like a lot of
Yeah.
things that people don't remember. People
Yeah.
just think you just go online, get some templates and edit. Doesn't
Yeah.
work that way. So
That's true.
design is not easy.
That's true. I
Yeah.
feel like you can really tell the difference between something that had a proper designer, like a product that had a proper designer work on it, and one that everybody just said, okay, we'll see how it goes. Just vibes. So yeah, you could
Vibes
actually
and
tell the difference
inshallah.
because sometimes you finish a product and your product may not even be that great, but then you hear comments like, "Oh my god, the design is so fly, the design is so nice." So yeah,
Yeah.
design is actually very important. And to all the designers that are doing a great job out there, you guys keep doing what you're doing. You guys are awesome. All right.
Yep. Stereotype number 4.
Yeah.
Nigerian tech people are rude. So this
Emmanuel,
one
is
in
this a
particular,
stereotype or is it true?
so I would like to believe that right now I think it's a stereotype because it's the people that would say this are people who don't expect us to have some kind of don't expect us to have the respect we currently have.
Hmm.
You get.
Okay.
So
I'm
what I mean
listening.
is that, for instance, they place respect on particular professions, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when they talk about tech, they always feel like we're being spoiled or that we're being lucky in a way. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, whenever we talk with whenever we talk the same level of those that they respect, they feel we're being rude. You get,
Mm-hmm.
like for instance, when someone says, "Okay, I'm going to charge you this amount for this website or for this design or for whatever," right? The person that you're talking to is probably thinking, why are you being so rude? How much? Why would I pay such a large amount for this small thing that you want to build for me? So that's in a way a fault of the person that thinks that we're rude.
Yeah.
I won't say we're completely. I won't say tech guys or tech
Are
people
perfect.
are the most.
Yeah.
Yes, I won't say they're the most. What we call it now?
Polite.
The most humble people or polite
Yeah.
people, but
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely, like, you can't just like gather all of us inside one basket and say we're all rude. It doesn't work that way. So
Mm,
I think it's a stereotype.
mm. I think you have a point actually. So basically, like we mentioned earlier, stereotypes are like this general conception that people have of other people or of a particular person. So saying Nigerian devs are rude, I've come across Nigerian devs are very humble to the core. And then I've come across Nigerian tech people that are not so much very humble or whatnot. So yeah, I always say this instead of stereotypes, don't just assume, try to experience that person's behavior or that person for who he is or who she is. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Stereotype number 5. This one is for all my project managers out there. So this one is project managers are villains. All right.
Oh well.
So both technical and non-technical project managers or villains. Um, I want to say, what do you have to say for yourself? But since we don't have any one of them on the show right now, we're going to speak for them. All right. So I had a conversation with a friend who is a technical project manager. That means he writes some code sometimes and all of that. And he told me he was with a friend one time who is also a dev or someone technical, writes code or whatnot. And then I think they met up with that person's friend, and the person asked them, "Oh, what does he do?" I said, "Oh, I'm a project manager." And then the friend looked to his other friend and said, "Why are you rolling with the feds?" So like basically we've turned project managers to be these people that they probably have no idea or can't understand any of the work I'm doing, and they're either going to slow me down or just waste my time. So I don't want to have any conversation. I don't want to have to engage with these people.
Feds.
So like we just
I've
try
not gotten
to
about that.
we just try to dismiss whatever they say and all of that, because I think there's a general description we use for project managers. I think you've seen this on Twitter when they say something like tweet like a project manager and you see Hafa.
Yeah. Alpha.
That Hafa
Updates.
sends chills down your spine because
Yeah.
you in your heart, you know that you have not completed your task. So please, Emmanuel, is this a fault of project managers or the people in question? That is people that the project manager is managing. How do you?
Okay.
What's your perception about this?
I think that project managers, in a way, have a lot more to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, on the other hand, the people that project managers are managing, they don't give project managers any slack. So for them to find a balance, people
Okay.
always, there are people that have this opinion that former programmers or ex-programmers are the best project managers. And I think I agree, maybe
You agree?
99%
Oh wow.
in a way. So someone who transitions from programming or from programming, designing, or whatever kind of tech work
Mm-hmm.
into project management, I think has a better relationship with people he or she is working with, right?
Oh, really?
So because you need to have some idea of what someone is doing.
Yeah.
Like in other industries, for instance, I don't think they put managers who have no experience in a seat.
Hmm.
Like let's say in a bank, for instance, they won't
You're
hire
throwing
someone
shade
that
now.
has. Okay. Let me be careful here. What I mean by experience, I mean relation.
No, keep
Okay,
going,
let me
keep
just be
going, keep
blunt.
going.
Let me just be blunt. From my own experience and from what I've heard from people, a
Yeah.
lot of project managers are people who are fresh from school or don't have much experience,
Mm,
right? So they
mm,
probably just come in and think the project management is about pushing people to finish their task on time. And I
yeah.
think they get it wrong
Yeah.
at that point because
Yeah.
human beings are human beings for a reason. They're not robots.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell me, okay, you start the project on 1st of September and you finish it 20th of September. In fact,
Mm,
I will tell you I'll finish it before. but doesn't mean that I'm going to finish it. Like, so they need to have more understanding of how tech work works,
Yeah.
because if they don't, to just continue to be a battle between the project manager and the people that they manage.
Yeah.
I think that's my own take.
Okay. So what about on the side of the people that are being managed? Shouldn't they try and speed up their work sometimes?
So yes, so people that are being managed in a way, I think for us, I'm not sure we can do much, because the I think the way the hierarchy of jobs are placed in some organizations, it feels like the project manager is above the developers and the designers and
Mm,
creative guys.
mm,
So if that mentality can be shifted such that you're in a form of rapport with your project manager, it's not
mm.
like someone that you, when the person arrives, they're like, oh guy, we've not
Yeah,
finished our project. You get,
yeah,
it's more of, okay, project manager, I know we set deadlines, but
yeah,
we couldn't finish because of these technical problems. And
yeah.
then the project manager replies, oh, okay, I understand.
Okay.
What can we do to make this better? Not that, remember, we have a deadline, all these
Mm,
kind of things. You get,
mm,
if both parties can come together and say, there are a lot of great program managers in
mm-hmm,
Nigeria and obviously outside the country. I think people that are just entering project management should take their time to look for those great guys,
mm-hmm.
those great people that know the
And
work
learn
very
from
well,
them.
and reach out to them and ask, yeah, learn from them. Because honestly, I don't think you can continue this way from the way things are looking. Because those
Yeah.
jokes that people throw around about project managers, they're not actual jokes, so they're shades.
More.
They're
Well,
shades. So
yeah. So I think you actually have a strong point. Like, project managers actually have to do better. So I think this is a stereotype that we kind of sided the stereotype, and they try to defend
I'm
it,
happy
but
to side though.
it's okay.
I
It's
can't
okay.
I can't
It's
can't
okay.
disappoint my guys.
All right. So moving on to stereotype 6.
So stereotype 6, tech is only for young people.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So this one is tricky, because obviously I think everybody should agree on this, that young people have an advantage in tech because they are young and they have they have some form of free time to learn things aggressively, right? But tech
Yeah.
is not only for young people. It's not only for young people.
Mm.
And I think this stereotype comes because people always think in tech the only things you can do are maybe having to type in a computer, having to code, having to design,
Yeah.
or one of the three things: design, code, or anything else. You get, there are more things that I didn't remember that. So there are more things that are in tech, like a lot. There are a lot of things in tech,
Yeah,
like
there are a lot of
that we don't even
opportunities
know.
actually.
Yeah, yeah. So if you say tech is only for young people because you think only young people can have the time to write code, or can learn code, or
Yeah.
can design, I
Yeah.
think you're limiting people. You're limiting the scope of tech that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. I actually had this guy once say to a friend of mine. He said, "Once you're 21, you should not even bother. Don't bother learning how to code and the likes." And Omo, I was shocked though, because just the way you said, because people think tech is for just code and design and whatnot. There are actually a million and one opportunities in tech. There are actually a lot, and it's not, you can't even, there are even some that are not currently in our ecosystem. There are opportunities that don't even currently exist in our ecosystem, but
Yeah.
they are in tech. So the guy was like, you should not bother to, we are just wasting time. That something you should have started since you were 15 years old or 10 years old. So that really threw me off, because I've seen great devs on Twitter, like tech leads and managers and stuff. And some of them say they started coding in their 30s. Someone even said 40s.
Uh,
And I was really impressed. I was like, wow, that's actually really dope. So telling someone, if you are already 20 or 21, don't bother. Go and look for something else. Go and fry a car or something. That was just weird. All right. Stereotype number 7. This is, I think this one's a pretty popular one, but we're going to emphasize it for the people that always feel, oh, no, this is not for me. okay, getting into tech from another career path that probably you don't have a CS degree or a software engineering degree or whatnot. Now, I know you've heard a lot of people say this. Like, this is actually because I know I see questions on Quora where they go, "Oh, I don't have a CS degree. Can I do this and this?" Emmanuel, questions on Quora are actually, you actually find some of the weirdest questions on Quora. But we're not going
Yeah,
to get in it. We're not going to get into that
yeah,
today.
yeah.
But yeah, saying things like, I don't have a CS degree. Do you think I can succeed in tech and stuff like that? It's actually,
I
it's
think those questions are not actually weird questions. I think they are real questions that people usually don't say out loud. So,
okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. Well, these days, I kind of feel like, in fact, the importance of the CS, I mean, don't get me wrong, a CS degree is very important, right? It's like you can't downplay the importance of a CS degree. But I feel like the tech space has become more lenient with it. I mean,
yeah.
Elon Musk is out here saying stuff like, "I don't care about your degree. Do you have skill and stuff?" So yeah, basically, if you're listening and you don't have a computer science degree or any other related field, I think that shouldn't stop you from getting into tech. I know a lot of people will look down on people that do not have a CS degree or any other degree related to computer science, but like I don't think it's that much of a big deal. There are really amazing people that don't have any of these degrees and they're doing really awesome. People have transitioned from some of the weirdest career paths, and that just goes to show you how welcoming tech is. So
Yeah.
yeah, all
So
right.
stereotype 8. Stereotype 8.
There's
You
like
must
eight.
be a nerd to be in tech.
You must be a nerd in tech. Are you
Yeah.
not a nerd?
I sometimes I cause so I think I think the definition of a nerd or being a nerd is should change with time, right? So maybe
Hmm.
some years back, maybe being a nerd was actually correctly the actual way people think about nerds, like the ones in the movies where all they want
Hmm.
to do is just sit there alone and wear glasses and solve math.
Hmm.
I think generally the whole world is changing a lot, and
Yeah.
even nerds are changing. So the nerd today may be the type who wants to, I don't know, I think nerds too have evolved over time and are not just the same like we used
Yeah.
to have. For
Yeah.
instance, my own type of nerdiness is that I like to learn things like
Hmm.
outside my s- my should I say my scope of work. Like for instance, I'm learning how to play the guitar, right?
Yeah.
That's something I wouldn't do normally, right? So
Yeah.
I like to explore skills that people say, this skill is fun or this skill is hard, but I like to learn them, right?
Mano
That's
is
my
a
own type of
curious
nerd.
part.
Yeah, you could say that, but I'm not a website share.
Yeah.
So yeah, so but I think being in tech, you don't have to be a nerd at all. Like there are a lot of people that they're only in tech because of work or like once
Hmm.
it's 5 o'clock and they're done work, as in they switch like immediately. You never believe that this guy can code
Off
or
your
this girl
mic,
can
bro.
code
Off your
or
mic. Off your mic.
like
Off your mic.
yo, for real
But
man, like
yeah.
man, it's just the way it is because generally is I think it's safe to just have this idea that tech people are nerds.
Hmm.
Like it's just the normal like trajectory people have, but the fact that things are changing, you should
Hmm.
factor that in.
Hmm.
Like you don't have to be a nerd. In fact, anyway, let me not stretch it.
You don't want to digress, Abby.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
So
I
for you,
feel like
do you think it's a stereotype?
yeah, I actually think it's a stereotype because me right now, I'm in tech, like I'm headfirst, knee deep into tech, and some people just assume that I don't have a life outside tech. I mean, I play basketball. When I was in school, I was part of a drama group. Like I used to act. Um, well, is that
You used
is
to
that everything about my life?
until you
But yeah,
started
I
writing code.
mean, well, I mean, I actually do have like other hobbies, like things I'm actually really interested in, and it's not just code, 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 or tech, 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 tech. Even though that's like a huge part
Are we shading
of
those
of
that
what I.
actually love to code
No,
only,
I
like
am not.
only
I'm
code?
not shading those that actually do tech, tech, tech. But in my own opinion, I would rather have a conversation with someone that has a life outside tech than someone that just does tech, 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 tech. Why? Because those conversations are actually more fun. There are some people
Yeah,
on
guys, take your subs.
social media. There's some people on social media like that is all they post, like closures and
Yeah, and I
JavaScript
think
and
it's time
stuff,
for you
and
to
you're
off
like,
your mic.
and you're like, Chairman, it's a Sunday. At least I don't know. Can you like relax? So I think people that tech is just a part of their life and not the entire thing. I think they are actually more interesting. Like you actually have better conversations with them. And there's this thing of exploring other fields. Like sometimes if you explore other fields and you allow yourself to be more versed in other things that are not necessarily directly connected to your industry, you kind of understand your industry better. Like you could bring other concepts and allow that influence what you're working on. Do you understand?
Yeah,
Yeah. So the notion of tech people being nerds, I mean, I could understand why people think so. In fact, I'm a living version. I don't think I have any normal t-shirts. Almost everything has one conference on the other printed on it. And then I wear glasses, right? So, I mean, I could understand why people say that, but I also think it's a stereotype. There are people that, they say, have you seen Simple Programmer? John Summers, that guy he's a gym head, like he's ripped. He doesn't look like he codes at all, but I mean, he's a tech person, but he just looks totally different than the way normal tech people look like. All right, stereotype number 9. Okay, and I think this is for Lagos State Governor, so that he doesn't tax tech people. Stereotype number 9 is tech is a sure place to blow and make plenty money. And I just want to say this: I actually blame the tech people on Twitter. Yes, I actually blame you people. You people will come online and flaunt your MacBooks and flaunt your workspaces, and now people are hitting me up saying, "Oh, Chuka, I want to get into, how do I learn how to? Chuka, please, do you have any courses on?" And I don't know how to tell these people that, see, before you be able to get this workspace, it may take a while. This is not forex. Sorry, I don't think I should have said, but it may take a while. So people coming into tech for the money, Emmanuel, do you think they're doing it for the wrong reasons?
No, I don't think they're doing it for the wrong
Uh-uh.
reasons.
Okay, 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 okay. I want to
Why
hear
I said
your
so is
points.
because why I said so is because I think generally people have always thought that the only way to really be passionate about something is if you are just passionate about it. But I
Okay.
beg to differ because
Mm.
money is a good motivator for a lot of things. Though.
Man, money is a
Like
huge
deep,
motivator.
yeah, because, and I won't blame anyone because honestly, just like when there was the oil boom and when banking sector was really like a thing, people were
Mm-hmm.
moving there and probably got passion from
Okay.
chasing money. So I think it's not that bad.
Yeah. Mm. Well, I kind of agree with you as well. Money is a huge motivator, and if you think like your motivation is money, you should totally go for it. But where I kind of disagree is money. Getting into it for money is probably not very sustainable. Do you
Yeah,
understand what I'm saying? Yeah, because I mean, before you make your first, we had a conversation. Our last episode, we talked about um, employer-employee relationship, and we talked about some people's first salary. Emmanuel, do you want to measure your first salary, your first job you ever did? God knows how much they
no.
paid you, but I don't know. You couldn't have bought up to 5 shawarma. I'm very sure.
I
So
I
I
think
mean,
I think you could, but after that,
yeah.
nothing else.
So I mean, if you get it and you're not earning as much as you thought you were going to earn, do you think you're still going to stay, or you're just going to work out and look for the next big thing? So yeah, I think money is a huge motivator to get into it, but I don't think that thought is sustainable. That money, money, money. So now, is this a stereotype? Is tech a sure place to blow and make plenty money, or is it
Yes,
just fact? Is it true?
it's a stereotype.
So
Of
are you saying
course,
there's no plenty money in tech?
there is money, but it's potential money. It's
Mm.
not a straightforward place. Oh yeah, write HTML code, or why am I shading HTML like this? But it's not a straight path. It still requires normal qualities of being successful, like working hard
Okay.
and being smart, and being prepared for opportunities and stuff. So I'm not discouraging anyone who thinks there's plenty money. There is, but you still have to pay your dues to get those
All right.
rewards.
All right. All right. The listeners have, you guys can hear Emmanuel now. The listeners have heard you. All right.
Uh-huh.
So on to our next and final stereotype.
I think final stereotype is that tech people are introverted. So
Hmm.
this
The 10
one,
tech
in
people
a,
are
this
introverted.
one yeah, it's kind of similar to the one where we think Nigerian tech people is only for young people, or you have to be a nerd.
Hmm.
So being introverted is just something that you have outside tech. Like if you're in tech
That's not
and you're
has
introverted, it's
nothing to do with
because
tech.
you were into. Yeah, exactly. It could have tech can fuel that, but
Hmm.
tech wasn't the reason for it. Do you get? So, for instance,
Hmm.
I would use Steve Wozniak and some other core prodigies as examples. Like those guys
Okay.
would obviously stay at home because they could work on their project, like their computer project and stuff. Doesn't mean that from birth, or it doesn't mean that the reason why they started staying at home was because of the computers. I think
Yeah.
the reason why they started working on computers was because they stayed at home. You get?
Hmm.
So there are people who are introverted, and when they are inside their house, what they do is read books. Some of them
Okay.
is what they do, they play games. You get? So I wouldn't say tech turns you to an introvert, or for you to be in tech,
Yeah.
it means you were an introvert. So,
Yeah.
but I think tech is a little more attractive to introverts than extroverts.
Yeah. And I think I'm a big proof of that, because if you meet me outside, I am not an introvert and I'm into tech. So I think
You guys are an
you'd be able to
outlier.
differentiate. But Emmanuel, on the other hand, Emmanuel is an introvert. Trust me. So
I'm not an introvert though. Funny enough.
you are definitely
Maybe
an
I give
introvert,
vibes of
bro.
introverts. Maybe I give
What?
vibes of introverts, but I'm not. I think I'm somewhere between, but I'm more introverted than extroverted.
Mm,
So
okay.
yeah, you could say
Okay.
that.
All right. That brings us to the end of this episode, and I'm just going to leave everyone listening to this with a side note, and that is how to solve this issue of stereotyping people and stereotypes. I think a big way to combat stereotypes is to just not assume. Try as much as possible not to assume stuff. I know it can be hard. Trust me, I know it can be hard. But man, people already have a hard time getting to where they are and being who they are. So for you to just come and assume, oh, you didn't strike me as a backend developer. Oh my God, you know Java? You code? But you're a woman. And then I have friends that have really, 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 really gotten upset and pissed about stuff like this. Some of these stereotypes. Some of these stereotypes don't actually bother anybody. If you think I'm an introvert, no, that's a business. But some are actually really hurtful. I have a friend that um she's into hardware. She fixes hardware, fixes computers and laptops and stuff. And she usually goes when people bring a laptop for her to fix. they are they are so cautious. They always say, please don't spoil it all. I'm like, can you relax? If you gave your laptop to a man, you obviously wouldn't be like that. So stereotypes are actually really upsetting and they can be really annoying sometimes. So in
Yeah.
in as much as, society has painted this kind of picture in your head and this perception of certain group of people or a person. Try as much as possible not to assume, right? Don't just put
Yeah.
people in a box by stereotyping them. That's
Yeah.
very wrong. So that's my side note.
I think I'll add this. I think
Okay.
to make things easier a bit for everyone, I think stereotyping is just something that happens naturally. Like it's not
Mm,
like you have a diary where you write all these
mm,
stereotypes. It's just
mm,
something that builds up over time. And I know that as a person, definitely you may not be able to get rid of all your stereotypes, but one thing you should understand is that by getting rid of your stereotypes, you're actually making the world a bit more safe and peaceful for people to live in.
mm,
So I think you should think about the reward of not stereotyping people
mm.
so that it won't be too hard for you to get. So
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
see someone that you don't expect to be doing something, instead of stereotyping and saying, so you do this, you can do more like, oh, when do you learn to do this? You get.
Mm,
So you should be more you should have more empathy towards
mm,
people,
mm.
right? So
Word.
yeah,
Emmanuel always says the wisest things.
that's a lie. That's a lie. Please.
All right, guys, we're rounding up this episode now. But before we do that, we have a big announcement to make.
Big announcement.
It's not very big, but
It
we had
is. I think it's
one.
big. It's big.
We had one of our humble, lovely, gracious listeners send us a voice note about episodes. She said she would like to know when we release new episodes and so that she can stay updated and stuff. So we decided to create a newsletter, and I think we're going to drop the link to that in the show notes. So we decided to create a
Yeah.
newsletter. Another way to solve this issue is just subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcast, whether that's Google Podcasts or Apple Podcasts, so that you can always know when a new episode drops. Because if you're not following us on social media or you're not subscribed, you probably wouldn't know. And newsletter is another way to let you guys know. So we'll be sending updates and probably some other cool things in newsletter. Who knows? Another huge one, I think Emmanuel wants to take this one.
Oh, okay. We'll start having guests on this podcast. So I think everyone will be excited
Yay!
about that. Yeah. So we'll have guys, like we said in our first episode that we'll talk about, we'll bring in guys who have done stuff, great stuff for the ecosystem, and they'll come and
Yeah,
talk about the experience, talk about what they've done,
definitely.
just to spice things up.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to be having more people on the show to make the show more interesting, more fun, more insightful, and more engaging.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone so much for listening to this episode. Remember, we release new episodes every other Wednesday, and you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and every other platform that you get your podcast. So, see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.